Hello and welcome back to Top10List.org, where you get a world of knowledge in 10 simple points. On today's episode, we're going to talk about top 10 activities that are for some reason illegal somewhere else. So let's go ahead and begin at number 10 with the Dark Prince of the Underworld in Inglis, Florida. I live in Florida and I haven't heard about this yet. Now, good news for Satan, his ban was actually lifted by the authorities and he can finally enjoy a trip to Inglis he was planning for a while now. Thanks to the efforts of ACLU and a few lawsuit threats based on the principal separation of church and state, the mayor's abusive act of kicking the devil out of the city's public property is no longer in effect. When prompted for a reaction, Satan said he could not understand what the devil was for the mayor's problem in the first place. Number 9. Eating and cooking lobsters in Reggio, Italy. What do Reggio and Adolf Hitler have in common? They both banned lobsters because of the sound these animals make and, respectively, the cruelty of the cooking method. Number 8. Singing karaoke tunes in Libum, Georgia. Libum is a town populated by people more religious than the Pope when it comes to bars, alcohol retailers, and apparently karaoke. The mayor stated that all these activities represent the gateway to crime. While singing certain popular tunes, they should be made illegal across the map for the benefit of drinking enthusiasts. He may be exaggerating just a little bit. Number 7. Public officials' usage of excuses in Mezhian, Siberia. A rule that we can all get behind if the mayor of the city was apparently so fed up with all the excuses for laziness and incompetence of elected officials that he decided to make them illegal. The punishment for this crime is keeping him, according to, a speedy departure, whatever that means in Siberian slang. Number 6. Chewing gum without a prescription in Singapore. Singapore news are always representing exceptionally strange and strict regulations implemented by the Singapore government. That's a given. Back in 1992, when chewing gum industry was flourishing, the officials were faced with a serious crisis. Everybody was stuffing gum in virtually all available orifices, including chair undersides, the mailbox, their neighbor's keyhole, etc. Since dealing with the problem is always easier if you start at the root, Singapore officials decided that their country is no longer allowing the chewing of gum, with the exception of those utilized for therapeutic purposes. Number 5. Playing ice cream truck tunes in Stafford, New Jersey. I can agree with this one. The ban on the notoriously catchy ice cream truck tune has been placed in effect in Stafford since 1998, when the majority of 4-2 voted for it to be outlawed. The most reasonable explanation for the town's burning hatred toward the repetitive song stems from the propensity of all children under 35 to dash out into the streets upon hearing it and trample everything in their way, including senior citizens, their pets, and perfectly trimmed lawns. And let's not forget that another means of endless entertainment that is forbidden in Stafford consists of driveway-mounted basketball hoops. Number 4. Visiting the library while afflicted with strong bodily odors in Houston. A breath of fresh air for Houston's literates, that law forbids a person from entering the premises of a public library with a fetid aura of poisonous gas was actually the city council's method of keeping the homeless away. Since vagrants and drifters have a tendency of seeking shelter from the elements on library grounds, the law now permits the librarians to escort them off the property without facing a lawsuit for discrimination. It is also important to note that the ban also applies for the bathrooms of the public library, so you can't utilize the sinks to cleanse the stench and get around the law. However, an admirable concession on their part is that even the homeless without body odor are welcome into the library. Number 3. Owning a rounded fishbowl in Monza, Italy. If you guess that the ban on fishbowls has something to do with the inhumane practice of reaping the fish out of the natural habitat and relocating them in the confines of the bowl, you're wrong. In Monza, it is perfectly legal to own a square-shaped aquarium. Then what is the problem? Well, according to the council that introduced the ban, the law was passed because of the round bowls that confer both the owner and the fish, but mostly the fish, a distorted view on reality. In other words, it's not wrong to imprison a fish in an aquarium as long as he is allowed to perceive the world in a correct manner. Number 2. Using silly string in LA on Halloween. The good news is that you can enjoy your cans of silly string 364 days a year in LA, but not on Halloween. The one-day ban on this fun product actually makes sense if you take into account the numerous violent incidents reported by the LA police on Halloween that all started with a couple of cans of silly string and a bunch of drunk people in costumes. In fact, the city councilor who proposed the ban cited episodes during which people were tossing the container at others rather than the string. But maybe they could instate a permit for using silly string on Halloween, following a course in responsible practices. Number 1. Being naked in your own home in Villa Hermosa, Mexico. Everyone can agree that not allowing people to go outside naked is generally beneficial, at least for male exhibitionists, but the Council of Villa Hermosa took things a bit further. Now, it is fairly true that a person who is naked outside his home or inside his home, mainly inside, is just a step away from walking out the door and onto the porch in his birthday suit, but acting preemptively to prevent this tragedy, based on the current lack of morality, is a tad much. Perhaps the law against indoor nudity was passed to protect local peeping toms in the window and burglars scouting the homeowners for electronics from the ungodly image, in which case, good job. I mean, what if you're coming out of the shower? Should I wear a bathing suit in the shower and scrub underneath my bathing suit then? I just basically will not move to Villa Hermosa, Mexico. That concludes our list for top10list.org. If you enjoyed, click subscribe and don't hesitate to join us again for another edition of Top 10 List.